Hello everyone, welcome to DUNN Talks, dialogue, unfiltered, no nonsense. And tonight, very raw. This is the DUNN Talks for May, but unfortunately, today, when I'm actually recording it, it's Sunday, June 14th. Flag Day. Yesterday was the NBA Finals, Game 5, where the New York Knicks are now world champions after how many years? 53? Wow. As I said in one of my posts, I remember going to my first Knicks game because my brother took me to that game. I'm not really a Knicks fan, but I did go to a game in the 70s. And back then, they were champs, but they haven't been since the 70s. I'm also watching a historic event on Paramount Plus, Freedom 250, UFC Freedom 250, on the White House lawn. Historic event. I don't care what you think about our situation in the White House and POTUS. The event itself is historic. Some people say it's classless, but think about who the president is. He's a game show. He's a reality star. He's a sports guy. He used to own the USFL football team, okay? Put things in perspective. Me, it's a great production. The backdrop of the White House, the visuals, showing parts of the White House, the long walks. It's a production. You ain't got to love anything else. I'm looking at it strictly from a television production standpoint, and my hat goes off to CBS and Paramount Plus and UFC, of course, for the production that they've created and that they've done. Then, of course, the other thing I'm watching, I'm watching the Carolina Hurricanes versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup in Game 6, 3-0 over the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, I'm not a hockey guy, as many of you know, but I will watch the Stanley Cup just for the historic nature of it. So, 3 historic events over the weekend while I'm not working and I'm actually home. The NBA, I'm doing the replay of that NBA, the 94-90 win over the San Antonio Spurs, watching UFC at the White House, watching hockey, and of course, World Cup. Watched several matches over the past 2 days, always rooting for the underdog just to see if they would win, and there was some pretty good bouts there, but this could be a very long DUNN Talk for the month of May, but yet at the same time, it could be a very short June one also because of all that I'm doing in the month of May. Month of May, month of April, carrying over into June. It's been pretty tough. It's been pretty tough. But I must say, I'm dealing with it, and that's why May has been delayed, because we had multiple deaths that, I knew a lot of the people, Kyle Busch, Ted Turner, my goddaughter's sister, who was a yoga instructor in New Orleans, then Charlie Neal, long time friend from the days of BET. Just took me by surprise. But again, the man was 80 years old, 81 years old. But he and I go back to the 80s and into the 90s working BET Sports. And then transitioning over into HBCU Go TV, where I worked with Byron Allen, producing black college football and basketball. So thinking of Charlie Neal also, his funeral was literally this past Friday on the 12th of June. Like I said, I'm in the month of June trying to recap May. And then my goddaughter's sister just had her memorial service as a cremation last week. And then lo and behold, this week, I head to Charlotte, North Carolina for a really tough funeral and memorial service for Kevin Wright, Dr. Rev Kevin Wright. This is a guy I grew up with in Brooklyn, New York. We were part of the Canarsie Bayview Boys, and we called ourselves the Magnificent Seven. And out of that 7, we're down to 5. So this has been very emotional. And during the course of this video, I will share the video that I produced and created to hopefully be shown by his wife at the wake or the funeral. That's up to them. 8-minute piece. But needless to say, I've generated a lot of videos in the past 45 days for people who have passed away. I was a part of the one for AEW for Ted Turner. We did a live tribute on the air for him. And then I did one for Nicki Minaj. You can find all these on my social media. I have them on TikTok, and I have them also on Instagram as well as Facebook. So they're out there. And now I'll post them on YouTube as well. But I did a video for all of those folks. One for Charlie Neal, kind of referencing all the days of what we've done together. And then, of course, the hardest one was Kevin Wright. Kevin has a birthday coming up in July. He would have been 6'7". So he didn't make it that far. So yes, it's been a tough month, and that's why I'm so late on getting the May DUNN Talks out. But these DUNN Talks are going to be a little different because although this is supposed to be talking about the end of May, we got Juneteenth coming up the week that I'm recording this. So I'll be flying to Charlotte, North Carolina, literally on Juneteenth to meet up with the fellas and to honor Kevin and say our last goodbyes on Saturday, the 20th of June. A song that you're hearing that I'm playing right now, Knee Deep, 1979, Parliament Funkadelic. But then also redone by De La Soul. I love this song because it's called Me, Myself, and I. And it was initially launched in March of 1989. From my college days to South Florida. You know, one of the things that I say, and people laugh when I say it, but schizophrenia is roughly 1% of our population. But we're all schizophrenic. And we have some form of schizophrenia, I believe anyway. We have 3 personalities, but maybe not in touch with all of them. But they come out calmly and hopefully non-violently. So what are those schizophrenia personalities that we all have that we're probably not all in touch with? Real simple. You've heard the song. Me, myself, and I. Me, myself, and I. That's 3 different personalities. We all have them. How we deal with them is different. That's where it gets real heavy here. This is my philosophy now. This is my philosophical side coming out. So let me explain. Me. Second person that everyone sees. You see me. Myself. Myself is who you don't see. It's the third person. Myself is unseen, but it's me dealing with my culture, heritage, society, faults, mistakes, accomplishments that no one else cares about. Myself is private and works on being polished for you, the public, to see me. Wow, that's a lot, right? But we're all like that, whether we understand that or not. And then there's I, which is the spiritual side of me and myself. I is God, Christ, spirituality in some form of faith. We all have it. We all have it. For I is the first. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. So again, we all have a form of schizophrenia that we're either in touch or not in touch with, and it's called me, myself, and I. And just understand the difference. Me is who you show to people. Myself is the private, and I is the spiritual. Okay? You got that? Great. Being black in America, my perspective. Now, we're coming up on Juneteenth, and a lot of people don't understand Juneteenth. Well, it's been 2 years now, and I've been doing Black History posts on Instagram and Threads and Facebook and TikTok. And if you're black, it's not your job anymore to explain Juneteenth. Nobody has to explain the 4th of July. Nobody has to explain Dr. Martin Luther King Day. We are at a point in life now, or at a point in our society, and the 250 years of America, even though Juneteenth is different, we, as black folk, do not and should not have to explain any of that. The problems of America were not created by black folk. It's not our problem. We can't fix it. It can be fixed by the establishment that created, those that don't want to acknowledge it. I mean, look at what we're watching, what I'm watching. UFC. UFC Freedom 250. It's at the White House. What is it? It's the fighting. It's the brutality. It's worse than boxing. But we love it. Why? Because it promotes masculinity. even though women fight in it, there's no women on this card tonight. It's all men. It's all men. So women, this is about you taking charge of America, because you can control it. And if you don't understand that, make a comment. Ask me why. And I'll put it in the comments, because like I said, this is raw. But to get into that, I want to know what the females feel. And then I'll really dive into what I mean about women control America and women control the world, if they step up. Because the things that are happening to you, women, ladies, girls, females, shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't be happening. And I feel I've got to say this because, unfortunately, we as black folk have to live a certain way. And I make it clear often, because when you talk in generalities, that's when people get all screwed up. You have to be very specific. So I want to be very specific when I say, I do not represent every black person everywhere in America or in the world. Again, what I do, say, act, or dress is not a representation of every or even most black people. That's me. That's who I represent. But because of many of you or people in general not understanding the culture, they only know what they see on a television, what someone tells them. That's what they will believe. They won't take the time to do research. They won't take the time to gain the knowledge themselves. But that's what it feels like in America, being black. And when you have white friends and colleagues who know you, they tell you the truth. They tell you the truth. Only because they know me, my work ethic, upbringing. I'm safe for them to speak truth to even a MAGA person, because I know quite a few MAGA people out there. But because they've known me before they were MAGA, or maybe they were, but it didn't come to the surface until a specific person was in the White House. Yes, I know them. I know quite a few of the MAGA folks. But I knew them before. But with me, they're respectful. They're respectful of me, even though I don't talk politics with them or around them. Now sometimes it'll come up, but we stay very respectful and we don't get into too much of the hard stuff. And we agree to disagree. Our politics are not the same. So we're okay with that. I have experiences that they can't understand. They have experiences that I can't understand or possibly relate to. But the one thing that we cannot do with these conversations is we cannot deny the fact that the black experience is real. You cannot deny the fact that the experiences of the past still affect us in present day. And the actions that are being done by some political folks right now, forget the bullshit, forget about Democrats and Republicans. It's happening with everyone. It's not just about one side of politics. Anyone that's in a position of power, needs to make sure that they are doing these changes. They are making the proper changes and they're not playing into the bullshit rhetoric that's going on out there. Okay? It's that simple. Look at some of my Facebook posts. You'll see who the MAGA people are. And you'll also see how I engage them. I've only had two MAGA hardcores that I knew as colleagues who were cool from 1996 to 2000. And then I had to unfriend them, and then they blocked me. Overcoming black stereotypes that are not always a stereotype, but true of a culture. But like I said earlier, one or two black people you encounter does not represent a culture unless you're looking for validation of a stereotype or something that you heard or was taught growing up. Be very clear on that. You see a black person doing something, do not categorize that image, that function, that thing they're doing as, well, see, that's what black people do. No, they don't. Because the majority of the black folk that are educated, that are out there, they stay to themselves. They don't engage in the silliness. Why? Because they know what they've overcome. I know what I've had to overcome. I wouldn't even be doing this if we did not have the person that we had in the White House. And see, let me make it very clear. If you follow me on social media, you know I have worked with the President of the United States. Several of them. I knew him before he was president. I knew the type of person he was. It's a generational thing. Guys, on the day that I'm doing this video, what's today? Today is what? June 14th, Flag Day. Today is the 80th birthday of our Commander-in-Chief. That's a generational thing. Make America great again? When was it great? When he was younger. We weren't around. We weren't feeling greatness. Who was we? Black folk. Women. So why did we allow this to happen? All because, and this is my opinion, because people couldn't handle a woman being in charge. Forget Joe Biden. They couldn't handle a woman potentially being in charge. We gotta get over that. Because quite frankly, I think women would do a much better job. We've had everybody else. It's time to put a woman in charge, all right? And forget the politics. Forget Democrat or Republican. Put a woman in charge. That's just my opinion. DUNN Talks, okay? Remember one thing, folks. Kids are not born with hate. Okay? They see color. They see color. But it just means the person looks different. When I hear people say, oh, I don't see color, then you're colorblind. Because you can't not see color, folks. Come on. The issues start when you ask questions of an ignorant adult. Okay? That's when it begins. Let me be nicer. An adult that was not exposed to truth or doesn't have or want the discernment to understand cultural differences are going to be ignorant, and they are not going to be people that you're going to be able to have a conversation with, a civil conversation. They are only going to know stereotypes. They're only going to be involved in stereotypes. Black folk have had to overcome stereotypes, and then there are some stereotypes that people just don't understand why they became stereotypes. Not everything is derogatory. Although there is one thing that I just wish black people themselves could stop this bullshit about reclaiming the word. I can't stand when black folk use the N-word and then don't want white folks to use it. Just quick thought. Do you realize that all of the derogatory terms for every ethnic group that's out there, every group has one, I'm not even going to go through them, because they've all been eliminated other than through that culture. Germans had one, Chinese have one, Italians had one, everybody's had one, everybody's had one. But the one word that continues to be prevalent every single day, TV shows, music videos, cable, writings, doesn't matter. And then people use it in their everyday language. I was a teacher at a high school. I heard it every day from the black kids in the high school with their white friends. It's a bite because they don't understand the meaning behind that word. Yeah, it's just a word, but if that's the case, then why was it so offensive to all of these other ethnic groups, and why has those words disappeared? Except for the one. Except for the one. So I try to do my best. Well, I don't try. I don't use it. Now, people will say, well, we use it among ourselves. Yeah, well, I try not to. Unfortunately, black folk will use it among themselves. We're multi-dialectic. We'll use it in our group, and then we won't use it outside of that group. We'll use it among ourselves, but then the black friends that we have, we expect our white friends not to use the word. Or new generation, millennials, they give a pass to their close white friends to use the word. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. But they're at least respectful enough to know not to use it other than in their circle. Okay? Folks, there is so much. Again, I wouldn't be doing all this if we hadn't started going backwards. Put real quick perspective, just real quick. Do you realize that we have not gone through a full generation since the Civil Rights Movement, which was in the 60s? When I was born in 1959, black people didn't have rights. Do you realize that all of those things, all of those accomplishments of the 60s are slowly being eliminated because those that are in charge, who are feeling oppressed, white folks specifically, a culture that created the mess, that don't realize that this country was built on immigration, minorities, females, and if it, guys, I don't even want to go into the whole history that there is no white race. There isn't. Okay? There is no such thing as a white race. There's white supremacy of those that feel they're above everyone else. But technically, historically, and by definition, there is no white race. You don't believe me? Look it up. Do your damn research, folks. This is what I'm talking about. When you don't take the time to find out your history, we're celebrating 250 years here. Learn what happened in those 250 years. Learn how we got to where we are. We're a young country. We're a young America. 250 years, that's nothing. Think about China, Russia, all the other countries and the histories that they have when you look back at their history. 250 years, we got a long way to go, folks. But we can't seem to get there because we can't let a generation of 100 years prosper. We keep killing it and taking it apart. So I want to touch on that thing real quick again. Stereotypes. Chicken, watermelon, Kool-Aid, chitlins. I hate chitlins. Can't stand the smell of chitlins. But do you know what chitlins are? They're the hogs, pig hog inners. Do you know how you get rid of that smell when you're cooking it? Vinegar and baking soda. It takes days to get that damn smell out of your house when you're cooking chitlins. I hate that smell. But my parents, mom from South Carolina, dad from Georgia, cooked it. And the reason why chitlins became a delicacy in the black community is because during the slave days, black folk weren't allowed to have the bacon or the ham or the good parts of the pig. So they were given the leftovers, what was left of the pig. They had to figure out how to make it edible. That's why chitlins became a delicacy among the black community. But again, I'm speaking in generalities because I, for one, never ever liked chitlins. Period. And still don't to this day, and I know many that don't either. Kool-Aid. Do you know the name of Edwin Perkins? He wasn't black, but he invented Kool-Aid in 1889 in Iowa. He moved to Nebraska and created the powder that was used in 1927. And it became the drink of the 1920s during a depression. But yet, it became stereotypical and tied to black folk. Because everybody had access to water, and the powdered drink, put in the water, Kool-Aid, add sugar, you had a sweet drink. Watermelon. I love watermelon. Many white folk like watermelon, and many black folk like watermelon. I know some black folk that won't eat it because they don't like the stereotype tied to it. Folks, watermelon was a harvest, grown and sold for profit. It was an economic and an income stream. It was something that black folk did to earn a living. There's all kinds of stereotypes around watermelon. I'm not even going to get into it. Look it up. Chicken. Everybody ate chicken. Everybody eats chicken. So why is that such a stereotypical thing tied to black folk? You see what I'm saying about culture and stereotypes and misconceptions? This country, this 250-year-old country that people still don't understand was built by black folk, slaved for free, non-wage slavery, beaten, battered, bruised, built this country, had to come up with inventions to figure out how to make things. along with immigrants, Native Americans. Yeah. If you go and do research and look at every black invention, every invention made by black folk, and you took it out of our society, take all the progress that black folk made in our country and take it out of society, do you think white folks could survive without it? Guarantee you they couldn't. Do your own research. Look it up. Check it out. Put a list together and see. When you look at the things that blacks are responsible for and was shoved out, not given patents, it was taken from them, stolen, music, you name it. See if a society of only white folk could exist without the inventions of black people in America. In America. So that's what I really wanted to talk about. The black perspective and how I've had to deal with that through the years. And then trying to teach my kids. People talk about the black experience. Well, it wasn't a real experience, folks. What do you mean it wasn't a real experience? You drive in a car at night, and you have a very nice car, and you drive in the wrong neighborhood, you're getting stopped. Why? Because of three things. Driving while black, number one. Number two, you got a nice car. How'd you get it? Did you steal it? Oh, you earned it. Yeah, really. What do you do? Where did that all happen? Stereotypes. People being labeled to put a culture down. The only way America could have been built the way it has been built was because of slavery. Why do you think people are still pissed and they get mad and they don't want to hear talking about slavery? Because the truth be told, there are generations of white folks who are still profiting off of slavery. Their wealth was built off of free labor. The very place that we're looking at, the Capitol and the White House in Washington, D.C., built by slaves. It's being remodeled by a different president, but it was still created, built, and put together, cleaned, worked on, and maintained by a black community. Slaves. So folks, I'm going to wrap this. Like I said, this is a lot shorter than I thought it would be. But there's been a lot going on, and I'm trying to keep those emotions in check. And like I said, we live that schizophrenic life, me, myself, and I. Don't forget. Understand how to distinguish between the three. Bringing it back around. Multiple deaths. The circle of life. I'm just praying, hoping, and taking care of this earthly vessel that we call the body, where the soul resides until we're no longer here. But if you don't treat it well, if you don't treat this like a temple, if you don't handle it, nurture it, or wait until it's too late. If you're a younger person, 20s, 30s, watching this, take care of your body. In your 40s and 50s and you have ailments, start working on them. Live your life, but start working on them. Folks, I'm not on a diet, and I've never been on a diet. All I've done was eliminate things cold turkey, and do it in moderation. There are people that have been smoking for 60 years, living to 100 plus. Some people say, oh, it's just good genes. Yeah, probably. But it's also about doing things in moderation. And if you're doing one thing in excess or excessively, then you better be doing something that counters that. That's all. We live in a society where the killer for all of us is food. Food. That's what's killing us. In addition to guns and violence and other things. Food. Internal health. That's what's taking us out faster than anything else. We're developing diseases and we're becoming dependent on medicine. And it goes back to now, me being a primary caretaker. Well, not a primary, but a support caretaker for my wife, who's on dialysis in our home 4 out of 7 days. We had an incident recently. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to talk about it. But I will bring it up very briefly without naming a whole lot of names. But a situation that I have to start wondering and thinking that if I wasn't on top of understanding the medical profession, the details of how things work, would my wife still be alive? Basically, we got a phone call. And I say we. The call came in on a Wednesday night. My wife wasn't available. She was sleeping. And because they have my number as an emergency number, they contacted me to let me know they have the perfect match for a kidney. But they had to do some testing, and they would get back with us within 24 hours to let us know. This was a Wednesday night. On a Thursday morning, she did dialysis. We worked together. And when the dialysis was over, we got the phone call and said, or they said, we have the perfect match and the perfect kidney. We are making you an actual offer. Will you and do you want to accept this kidney for a kidney transplant? Yes! How fast can you get here? This was an hour's drive away that we needed to go to. We got there. We started packing, putting things together because we already knew the routine and prepped and everything. For the next 30 days now, we were going to be living somewhere close to the hospital. Possibly 2 weeks in the hospital and then another 3 weeks, in a hotel or some type of location close to the hospital for the follow-ups and the medication and all of that. So in the car, bam, off to the location. We got there. She got prepped. She was in a room within 15-20 minutes of us arriving. This was like 1:30 in the afternoon. She was prepped and in a room by 3. Doctors were coming in, tests were being run, CT scan was being done, anesthesiologists were coming in. Everybody was excited. Initially, the transplant was scheduled for 11 o'clock at night. Within 2-3 hours after being told it was 11, it got bumped up to 8 o'clock. 6 o'clock, anesthesiologists came in and started updating us. The team of doctors came in, they started updating us, and everything was flowing perfectly. And then 7 o'clock came. Remember, 8 o'clock was supposed to be the transplant procedure. 7 o'clock comes, and the surgeon walks in with the CT scans that were done earlier because he wanted to see what was going on inside her body prior to the start of the kidney transplant. Folks, this surgeon is probably the best surgeon that I've ever met and the most honest doctor that I've ever encountered. Because this man took the time to explain to us the big CT scan chart that he brought in the room that we could see. He shared with us what was going on inside my wife's body. And what he also said was, you see that location right there? That's where your kidney is supposed to go. Your transplanted kidney is supposed to go there. But there's a stent there. We can't put it there. Because in your last procedure, it was put there. So what are you going to do? So the doctor said we could do a workaround. But if he did a workaround, he wanted to share what the potential problems would be. Folks, let me tell you, each risk, each problem was worse than the previous one that he mentioned. He gave us 4 options and each one wasn't good. Remember, the goal of a transplant was to get off of dialysis and then to increase your quality of life. Of all of the options, risks, and all the factors that were shared with us, it was worse. It would have decreased the quality of life. So basically, at the end of this breakdown, this 1-hour discussion prior to what was supposed to be an 8 o'clock surgery, 8 p.m. that is, we had to make a decision. And that decision was left up to us. He was willing to proceed only if we said, move forward. Knowing the risks, move forward. No. That was a painful thing to have to say. But my wife and I said we would rather adjust our lives for a lifetime of dialysis rather than take the risks of potential being paralyzed, blind, paraplegic, quadriplegic, or death. These were our options on that day at the end of the procedure in 2026. So we said no. And I'll end the story there because there's still more to it. And although it seems like all hope was lost, it isn't. It isn't. There's still a chance, and there's still a high probability of a successful transplant. But there are various factors that go along with it. But these are the decisions of life that you have to make. And you have to be prepared mentally. And you have to have that understanding and the knowledge to be able to make those types of decisions. And not everybody can do it. And yes, you're going to have to say sometimes, no. And not be selfish. Just because you want to get better. You're going to be tested. Tested to see, are you okay where you are in life? Can you accept where you are in life? Or are you willing to face grave consequences for something better? When the situation you're in may not be good, may not even be great, may not even be fair, but it's better than the alternative if you make a certain decision moving forward. So as I look back on that decision that we made on the last week of, when was that? Last week of April? Yeah, it was last week of April. As we look back at that, we realize our faith guided us in the right direction. So folks, like I said, this is DUNN Talks for the month of May. We're wrapping it up. Enjoy life. Appreciate what you have. And the biggest thing, if you haven't done it, start reaching out to the people that you're quote unquote friends with on social media. If you've got a relationship with them where you can call them and talk to them just to say hi, thinking about you, just checking on you to see how you're doing, be genuine, make it real. You know, something that I do, and all those of you that know me and have known me for an extended period of time, I have your birthday written in my book. I have my analog calendar, as I call it. I write it down. And on your birthdays, I either call you, send you a text message, send you a social media message, or in even some occasions, you get a birthday card in the mail with a handwritten note from me. Take the time, folks. Reach out. Say the things you're thinking out loud. I always say to people, I want to hear from you about how you feel about me before that day during homegoing services, and I can't hear the words you're speaking over me. If you're going to speak about the good, I'd like to hear it before I can't hear it. We don't know what the afterlife is. I don't know how it's going to be. Boy, I only wish one of my friends, family members, people that I knew could come back from the dead and speak to me, to give me that spirit of what it's like. I want to know, but I don't want to know immediately. Okay? I love you guys. For those that are watching for the first time, those that know me, those that don't know me, leave a comment. Ask questions about anything that I've talked about. Like I said, I'm an open book. Why? Because I ain't getting any younger. I have information to share, so why shouldn't I share it? Okay? Have a great month. Remember, we're already in June while you're watching this for May. I'm talking about May, but we're already in June. So June will probably be very short when it's posted for the month of July. All right? Have a great day. Have a great afternoon. Have a great evening. Sleep well. Take nothing to bed with you at night. Clear your mind. When my head hits the pillow, I'm gone within 5 minutes. I don't need anything to help me sleep. The sleep is, I've had a productive day, and I've lived a productive life. So when you sleep, rest. Rest the body, rest the mind. Have conversations with yourself, me, myself, and I. And be the best you that you can be every single day. Take care.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me, mirror, what is wrong? Can it be my daylight clothes or is it just my daylight song? What I do ain't make believe. People say I sit and try, but when it comes to being daylight, it's just me, myself, and I. It's just me, myself, and I. It's just me, myself, and I. It's just me, myself, and I.